For this assignment, I chose The Breakfast Club. In The Breakfast Club, 5 high school students attend detention, and by the end of the day, their views of one another have significantly changed. The subdisciplines of psychology that are relevant to this movie are personality psychology and social psychology. Personality psychology is an analysis of characteristics that are shown over time and in given circumstances. As the movie progresses, we can better understand each of the characters' personality traits and characteristics based on their personal experiences. We learn more about each of the students' home lives and use that to explain each of their personalities and behaviors. Social psychology deals in social interactions between individuals, including origins and effects. Social psychology is especially applicable to this movie because we are constantly shown how the characters act toward one another and how they are affected by each other. The social psychological theories relevant to this movie are stereotypes, conformity through normative influence, and altruism. Stereotypes are a very important theory and theme of this movie. We watch as the student stereotypes of each other change as the movie progresses, as well as how Vice Principal Vernon acts on his stereotypes of each of those students. In this scene, Vice Principal Vernon reads the letter Brian wrote for the students. In it, they recognize that Vernon holds each of them to a certain stereotype. They also go on to acknowledge that their stereotypes of one another were wrong and that they were more similar than they realized.
Dear Mr. Vernon, we accept the fact that we had to sacrifice a whole Saturday in detention for whatever it was we did wrong. But we think you're crazy to make us write an essay to you who we think we are. And you see us as you want to see us. In the simplest terms, with the most convenient definitions. But what we found out is that each one of us is a brain,
and an athlete, and a basket case, a princess,
and a criminal. Does that answer your question? Sincerely yours, Breakfast Club.
Another stereotype in the movie is presented toward Vice Principal Vernon, which is one of a mean and power-hungry administrator. Conformity is also very relevant to this movie. Being in detention together, all the students wanted to fit in with one another, so they each conformed with normative social influence so they would be approved of. One example of conformity through normative influence is when the students leave the library to go to Bender's locker, even when they know they could get into trouble. In this scene, Brian and Andrew discuss that they do not know why they are following him. However, they all go with him anyway because they want to fit in with the group.
Do you know where Vernon went?
I don't.
Well, how do you know when he'll be back?
I don't. Being back feels pretty good.
I just want to go to bed, Todd.
Beats me.
This is so stupid. Why are we risking getting caught?
I don't know.
So then what are we doing?
You ask me one more question and I'm beating the shit out of you.
Sorry.
Altruism is the act of helping others when they need it, with there being no reward for doing so. In the first clip, Bender distracts Vice Principal Vernon so that the others can return to the library without getting in trouble.
Fuck you!
Where's Mr. John?
We're dead. Just me. What do you mean? Get back to the library, Pete. You're ruining it. That son of a bitch.
Before the day I die, if I think I want to ride, my soul, I will be
The second clip is one example of the other students covering for Bender. He has just escaped solitary confinement and fallen through the drop ceiling into the library when this clip begins.
What in God's name is going on in here? What was that ruckus?
What ruckus?
I was just in my office and I heard a ruckus.
Could you describe the ruckus, sir?
Watch your tongue, young man. Watch it. What is this?
In both scenes, there was no benefit or reward for helping one another out, but they did it anyway. The characters' behaviors are highly related to their individual personalities and their lives at home, a topic which falls under personality psychology. The characters' behaviors were also motivated by their desire for acceptance by their peers and parents. Each of the students demonstrated conformity, whether through words or actions. The students were all from different social groups, which showed a variety of social pressure and levels of conformity from different perspectives. Although there were no psychological disorders explicitly illustrated in this film, there were characters who displayed certain symptoms of illness. Bender displayed symptoms of borderline personality disorder, which is likely due to trauma regarding his relationship with his parents. His moods fluctuate often, as well as his relationships with the other students in the group. He is also very impulsive throughout the movie, which is another characteristic. Despite it not being clear whether Bender has that disorder, this portrayal seems to be realistic. Brian displayed symptoms of a depressive disorder. It is unclear how long he had felt in such ways, but we can still see many signs of distress. As he explains why he is in detention, we see that he is troubled by intense pressure and guilt. It becomes clear that he was thinking of committing suicide. Although we do not know how long he has felt this way, this is a realistic portrayal of a major depressive disorder because it depicts multiple symptoms of such a disorder. In the beginning of the film, Allison displays symptoms of schizoid personality disorder. She is restricted and detached from social interactions. However, as the film progresses, she becomes more interactive. We also learn that she is diagnosed as a compulsive liar. Although it is not clear if Allison is suffering from this disorder, this portrayal is not very realistic because as Allison became more comfortable in and around the group of students, she no longer showed these symptoms as seriously. This would more accurately describe her personality rather than a psychological disorder. I have always really enjoyed this movie, but now I feel like I have a better understanding of certain behaviors that take place. The Breakfast Club portrays these psychological theories very accurately and realistically. It uses the struggles of the American teenager to be relatable and easily understood by the audience.